guys, today I'm going to be doing a how to avoid school air makeup video with some tips and tricks on how to not look so crusty. I've been through the same thing, obviously. I was once upon a time in high school, and honestly the makeup wasn't as good back then as it is now. I've tried to incorporate mainly drugstore products just so that it's very accessible for most people. Yeah, I'm just gonna get started. The best thing you can do for your skin is to make sure it's hydrated but not greasy. So I'm just gonna go in with this Pond's dry skin cream. This has been my go-to cream for the daytime lately, and I've just been loving it. I think after I incorporated it, I can really feel my skin getting super soft. I think I'm definitely gonna be using it like for the long haul. And it's nice because it's so accessible too, like you can find this cream anywhere. Skincare is honestly the most important part of makeup. As long as your skin is hydrated and prepped for makeup, then you have a better chance of making your makeup look good all day long, especially when you're under that disgusting fluorescent lighting, which they usually have at school. Also, don't forget to do your neck. I'm not going to right now, but don't forget to do your neck and chest. My skin is kind of red right now, but that's okay. Okay, next I'm going to take this Natasha Denona. Okay, I literally just said that I'm going to stick to mainly drugstore, but you can find so many glowy products in the drugstore. This is just what I have right now. I used to have like the L'Oreal Lumi Glotion and stuff, and that works really, really well too. I just have this Face Glow Cream Shimmer. I'm just going to apply it to my high points. The worst part about school is that it just makes you look so dry. So I want to try to incorporate as much glow and moisture as possible, because that's just what looks the best in person too. So just like that. And then I'm going to be skipping foundation. Every time I wore foundation to school, it would just look so crusty. My biggest tip is to get concealers that match your face shade, and then any kind of brightening concealer that you would want. So I'm going in with this NYX Bear With Me in concealer serum in the shade Vanilla, and I'm just gonna apply dots where I want to conceal. A little bit goes a long way, so I'm not going to use a lot. And you want a makeup product like that because the less you use, the better. And if you want to include a primer, I would recommend this e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I just am not the biggest primer person, but I do find that that one helps with longevity. And then I'm just going to tap it out with this Clio Puff. So this is a little bit light on me, but I do use this shade to brighten anyways. But like I said, you want another shade that matches your skin tone. So if you have any hyperpigmentation or anything like that, you're just spot concealing. I personally would not put powder on top of that because powder looks really gross under fluorescent lighting. You want to try to stick to as many creams as possible and use as little powder as possible. So I'm just going to tap that out. You can see like a little bit really goes a long way, and this is a very hydrating concealer, so it looks really pretty all day. This is like a rare concealer that doesn't look absolutely disgusting on my nose, so if you do end up using a lot of it like all over your face, then it will still continue to look good. Now you're going to set one eye at a time. So this is the Huda Beauty powder. I just have it in a little case because I was traveling with it. But apparently a good dupe for this is the Maybelline Fit Me powder. My sister uses that one and she really likes it. I do feel confident in recommending that. And then just tap it in with a brush. I've been using a brush a lot lately for my powders, and it just gives a much better airbrush look. Whenever I use a powder puff, I can always see the indentation from where I set my makeup, because when you set it down, like, you always get like that little triangle on your face, but with the brush it's a lot better, and then you can really just like put the powder right where you need it, and it doesn't look crusty throughout the day. Make sure when you pick it up on the brush also you're tapping it off to take off the excess, because then you'll get the same thing as a powder puff where you're just applying way too much product. So I'm just going to stick the powder right underneath my eye. And oh my god, it looks so pretty. And this is my face up close so far. It looks really, really good in person. I typically don't like to set around my mouth because it makes my skin feel tight, but I do live in a very dry climate and I have normal skin that leans dry, especially because of the climate I live in. So I wouldn't set around my mouth, but that's just a personal preference. If you feel like your concealer is going to completely slip off, then feel free to, but you just kind of have to tailor the routine to your liking. And now, like I said, you want to try to avoid powder products as much as possible. I like liquid a lot because a lot of creams tend to sit on top of your skin, but a lot of powders tend to cake up underneath like fluorescent lighting and whatnot. But liquid just like sinks into your skin and looks really natural. So I'm using this Etude Dear Darling water tint. Okay, so I like to use it on my lips too, but it looks a little bit crazy on the lips. But I just tap it in. As you go on throughout your day, your lip product fades, but when it fades with this, then it just gives a really nice tint. I do one cheek at a time just because it does tend to dry quicker. And this will just give the most natural blush look ever. It doesn't even look like you have product on your face. And then you can build it up if you want, but I like to just stick to this. I'll do a little more just so that it shows up on camera, but in person, you don't want to use too much, but it does build up very nicely too. And then I just go over my nose a little bit just to make it look cohesive. We're looking good so far. Okay, now I'm going to contradict myself a little bit. I'm going to take this palette, and this is the Wet n Wild Always Naked palette. It's like $5. And I'm going to take this dark brown shade at the bottom. I'm going to use that for both my eyebrows and my eyeliner. So the reason I like to use eyeshadow when I'm doing my eyeliner, especially when, you know, I'm doing it on a day where like I'm getting ready in a rush and I don't have time for my makeup to be screwed up, like when you're going to school, for example. And I'm just using, I'm pretty sure this is a paintbrush, but it just works well for me. It just gives you a lot more wiggle room to mess it up because it's easy to fix. I'm just going to lightly fill in my eyebrows. Normally I go for a more cool tone eyebrow shade, but I feel like when I go for a cool tone under the more fluorescent lighting, then it ends up looking a little too cool tone, just because something about the white light mixing into the cool tone shades just looks a little strange. And that's it for my eyebrows, and I'm going to do my eyeliner. Honestly, eyeliner, you just have to practice it. It's not something where you can really get a lot of tips. Like, you can watch videos of people doing it, but it's something, people's eye shapes are so unique that you need to just figure out what works for you. I kind of like it a little bit smudgy because if it does smudge throughout the day, it looks intentional. And then I'll just fill in a little bit at the waterline just to blend it all together. I don't have a cream bronzer right now. Well, I do, but it's like a Chanel one and I don't love it. It's like the Trey beige one. But the next best thing I have right now is the NYX Buttermelt bronzer. This one is like kind of a mix between a cream and powder. Like, this one does do pretty good in crusty lighting. This one is a shade all buttered up. And you want to take the tiniest bit of this. You want to build it up and just work in light layers because you don't want that indentation. I remember in high school, like, that is something I was definitely guilty of. It was 2016 and we were doing our makeup. Like, you know, I'm sure everyone knows what 2016 makeup looks like. So people are literally wearing that to school, and you could see people with like the huge indentations of bronzer, and I was one of them on my jawline, just super lightly. And then if you want, you can also bring it on your nose. Now for mascara, these are the two that I have been recommending a lot from the drugstore. This is the Essence Lash Princess. This is the waterproof one. Or the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara. I have trouble deciding between these two. This is like the false lash effect mascara, and I think it's really true to that. I think I'm going to stick with this today. The Telescopic adds a lot of length, but this adds volume and length. I don't like to add a lot of this to my bottom lash though, because I find that it does like to smudge on me, even though it's waterproof. So if you have a problem with your mascara smudging, maybe go for the L'Oreal Telescopic. This one's also a new tube, so it doesn't look as good. It needs to dry a little more. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of highlighter. I really love this highlighter. I got this from Amazon. It's just a really pretty highlighter. It doesn't look powdery at all on the skin. So this is what I like to use when I want to add a little extra glow. So I'm just going to take the same brush that I use for my powder and then just add it to the high points. Very lightly though, because this is very pigmented. And then just tap it on the cheeks. You don't want to create a stripe. Moving on to lips. These are some of my favorite lip products. They're very hydrating, which you really want for school. You don't want to wear like a matte lip, like you're gonna get crusty so fast. This one is the e.l.f. Hydrating Core Lip Shine. I'm out of this one. Like, that's how much I use it. These ones are really good. But I have backups too, but the shade is really pretty for that. It's just a really nice wash of color, so even if you don't have a mirror and you're reapplying, you don't really have to see what you're doing. Another one is this Emery one. I think this is a Japanese lipstick. This one's also very hydrating. And then this one is a very tried and true lip gloss. This one's a NYX Butter Gloss in Madeline. And then my really expired brown lip liner. Essence has a really good brown lip liner too. I just don't have it. So what I've been doing is I haven't really been starting with my lip liner, because I find if I overline after I'm done my lips, then it looks more natural versus before. For whatever reason, it just doesn't blend in as well. I think because the extra moisture from the other lipsticks just helps it kind of melt into your lips better. I have another e.l.f. one over here because I love it so much. So I'm going to take it in the shade Happy and just apply that over top of the tint. It's such a nice shade. And then I'm going to take Madeline over top of that. I like to keep it mainly in the middle. And then I'm going to take my brown lip liner. So I have a double lip line, so I apply it right on the double lip line. And I try not to take it up to the corners, because that's when you can see that you're wearing lip liner. I don't know why these ColourPop lip liners do this. And then just over my cupid's bow. My lips are also kind of uneven, so my bottom lip is a lot wider out than my top lip. So I like to use the lip liner to correct that. But yes, this is it for my 5-minute back to school makeup routine. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!